this week.
Welcome to the Startenders Academy Intergalactic Internship.
Hey.
After about a half-year delay, developer Foggybox Games is finally gearing up to launch Startenders on PlayStation VR. Your goal is to create bizarre beverages for colorful customers in the hope that no one notices you haven't the slightest clue what's going on. So if this is one that you've been patiently waiting for since its original March release, stay tuned. We'll have a full review on this channel when Startenders launches this Thursday, September 29th.
Shiny.
Get him! It's a torpedo! Finish him!
A new trailer debuted this week for Merowind's new game, VLADIVOSTOK. As one of the last PSVR1 games slated for release, it has our attention despite looking a little too much like a stationary wave shooter. Merowind so far has announced more games than they've shipped, and they've got a little bit of a rocky track record when it comes to getting their games to PSVR. And despite confirming a November release date for other platforms this week, the PlayStation VR version is still relegated to coming soon. So we'll keep you posted as we hear more.
Ah, come on, motherfucker! Let's roll out!
If you live outside North America and have been patiently waiting to play Transformers VR, well, sorry to report that you might have to wait a bit longer. The developers at Metaphor Interactive tweeted on the 23rd that they've discovered a bug affecting saved game files and are working to resolve it before releasing Transformers in Europe and Australia.
It's time to end this.
This week, Sony revealed their first bit of true, actual marketing for PlayStation VR2 with a commercial they posted on their YouTube channel. It details everything you'd hope to see Sony promoting, like adaptive triggers, haptics in the headset, 4K display, etc. But the fact that it actually shows off selecting your weapons with eye tracking in Firewall Ultra is admittedly pretty cool. Don't listen to the haters trying to downplay PSVR2 at every turn. Eye tracking is going to be awesome not only for gameplay mechanics such as this, but it's also super important for the amount of processing power it frees up when combined with foveated rendering.
There. Where are you taking me? I asked you a question.
On the official PlayStation podcast this week, Kristen Zatani talks to Ben Koff and Felix Riga Vandenberg from Guerrilla. They talk about Horizon Call of the Mountain and discuss the scale of the machines, the verticality of the world, and how VR is perfect for taking in Horizon's beautiful vistas. But here's the part of the conversation that intrigued me the most.
So I did a lot of climbing. I did some archery. I fought a couple of different creatures, different robots. What are some other experiences that folks are going to have when they play Call of the Mountain?
I think a big one is crafting, where you either craft your ammo, the weapons, using machine parts that you find throughout the game.
Nice.
Also crafting weapons. But then there's also a very big part of puzzle solving, exploration, as you're unraveling this grave new threat to the Carja Ascendum.
Very cool. All right. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else about the game that you guys just can't wait to tell folks about?
Well, I mean, I think that it's just an incredibly immersive experience. It makes perfect use out of this amazing new hardware. And we've got also some surprises along the way, both in terms of gameplay, in terms of and in terms of the story. And I think people will really love it.
I was really hopeful there'd be a heavy focus on exploration and crafting in Call of the Mountain, so this is definitely reassuring.
You have walked in the shadows, Reyes. Now it is time to climb into the light.
Okay, so this one's a bit of a longer clip, but this week, GamesIndustry.biz sat down with the legend Shuhei Yoshida, and while most of their talk revolved around other topics, they did briefly discuss PSVR2, mostly about how important indies will be this time around, just like they were on PSVR1.
I was doing the a role of like a promoting the system when we launched in 2016. And so I'm a huge, VR fan, and I don't know if you have tried. When you try PSVR2, it's truly next-gen experience, which we are super excited. But VR market is still small. It's growing, and what happens is it's the indies. There are big games like Horizon, Call of the Mountain, or Resident Evil Village. Yes, they are amazing, but it's the indies in my mind who really takes a risk because they want to make games on VR. And there's a big boom of PSVR and Oculus when we launched around the same time back in 2016. But after a couple of years, investors moved on to something different. So they are very difficult time for 2017, 18, 19. But there are indie publishers and VR developers who survived this difficult period, and they've been releasing new games in VR, and they've been accumulating this knowledge and experience how to use this new tech. And they are making better and better games. And now with metaverse and all these things, money is now coming back. And they are now becoming, some of them now are getting lots of money invested and becoming publishers to help other developers as well. So you will see great VR games coming out from these now re-energized and enlarged, and we invested in the VR publishers.
Oh, great.
This week's announcement of Affected the Asylum, which is slated to launch on all major platforms in 2023, was definitely an exciting one. Affected the Manor is still one of the better haunted house simulators we have in VR, and this follow-up, on the surface at least, looks to be more of a full-fledged game with 4-player co-op and more interactions than the original. Hopefully the improved capabilities of the PlayStation 5 and the PSVR2 will provide an even scarier and more realistic experience this time around.
Where am I? Is this some kind of dream?
The biggest mystery this week comes to us from Imaginio, really? Studio. Just rolls off the tongue. who's knee-deep in developing Chernobyl Again. According to the website, Chernobyl Again is an adventure game created for VR headsets that takes place in the 3D scan Chernobyl exclusion zone for a more immersive and engaging experience. Take this chance to explore the zone, experience its dark atmosphere, and follow a story full of unexpected twists and various kinds of puzzles that you'll solve while traveling through space and time.
This week.